my dreams. Ooh, I'm living my dreams. Oh yeah. Living.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm your co host, Adele Lacer, and I'm your marketing advertising expert.
Hi, and I'm Tanisha Polk. You guys can call me T. I am just a all around everything type of girl. Production, music, writing, small businesses, corporate, whatever you can think of, I'm gonna be your
And together, we're addicts, Inspiring the Dream
Fire
podcast.
the Dream podcast. Yes, we're inspiring the dreams out here. So today
So,
we have our first guest, Mr. Rob Jackson. Whoop, 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 whoop. Hey, you want to go ahead and introduce him?
yeah, so Mr. Jackson has been in the advertising marketing game for 30 plus years. He has a wealth of experience, not only from the advertising agency side, which is where he and I met years ago, but he also has worked on large global corporate brands. One in particular, you can go anywhere in the world, you see the golden arches, you know it's McDonald's. So at McDonald's, I mean, he's definitely honed in his skills in terms of being able to do a lot of good customer experiences, customer retention marketing, and marketing communication practices in general to help drive that big brand's business as well as the telecommunication company that he later worked for. He currently is a consultant and an adjunct professor at the City Colleges of Chicago. Everyone, please welcome Rob. So, Rob is going to help us today by talking a little bit about marketing campaigns and best practices. Given his background, I think one of the things our audience is probably going to be interested in is what do you believe to be the most important steps to ensure success with marketing campaigns?
Well, good morning, Adele. It's great to chat with you uh, after all these years, and we've maintained a great connection. And T, my pleasure to meet you. I love your energy, your dynamism. And I got A and T, which is at, so I got to
Yeah,
get at
right.
it this morning.
You got your book then.
I got to get at it this morning. And so we have to bring it. And so it's interesting in terms of where I am in my lifespan. I get a chance to kind of look back and reconstruct the doc. Being an adjunct professor, where I'm leaning into the academic approach, the core disciplines of marketing really are pushed forward. So I get a chance to kind of look back on decisions and strategies and compare them to the discipline. So I'll just start with the fundamentals here to answer your question. Really, the success of a marketing campaign is really about the four P's. And when I talk on this subject, I really talk about the marketing plan. Oftentimes, two mistakes happen for people who are getting into business. One, they mistake the marketing plan for the business plan. You got to have a strong business plan that puts together your operations and your finance and the discipline about which you're going to run your business. And then the marketing plan is just not the advertising piece, right? So, from a headline standpoint, that's where I go. So, then when we dive into the marketing plan, it's really then about the four P's. And the first piece is people start a business because they want to make money.
Yeah.
And you guys, and that should be the second thing. The first thing is you start a business because you want to solve somebody's problems.
Correct.
Because people solve, if I have a product that solves a problem, then people are going to want it, right? And I tell my students is how many people buy something they don't want? Not in the sense of stuff that you don't need, but stuff that you absolutely don't want. There is no
Exactly.
market to consume something that you absolutely don't want. So you have to come up with something that is going to solve a need or a want for the customer base that you're going after. And it has to do that in a way, in a competitive way, that is better than the other products or brands that are out there, at least in terms of the presentation and the delivery. So,
Not to
spend a lot of
not to
come on,
cut
T,
you off,
come on.
Rob, but just so they can understand what you're saying, how do they know? What advice would you give them to kind of know, like, if they're, whatever they're creating is something that's going to beat out the other stuff, the other brands?
Oh, great question. Because a great idea can come from anywhere. I
Mhm.
mean, all of us are consumers. I mean, we're consuming stuff, and stuff is trying to be sold to us. So when you think about your own life and the people who are close to you, and you see, wow, man, I think about the African American ladies that came up with sunscreen for Black people.
Right.
One, Black people, we've been taught that we don't need sunscreen because
Right.
Exactly.
of the melanin in our skin.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we go to Cancun and Jamaica, we come back and we done burnt like a raisin.
Right. You
To a
saying
We done been
crisp.
look,
burnt. Like,
look.
like what happened? And then the traditional sunscreens that are out there, make us look pasty and pale, and we got to go through all of this. So my assessment is that these young ladies got together and said, "Man, we need sunscreen for Black people that addresses these needs because the people are having a problem, but the solutions out there don't are not clear to them, don't meet their specific need. The credibility of a sunscreen product made for African Americans by African Americans would instantly have credibility. So that's an example. And it can come down to some, very simple things, but it's really about how you see the world and where the gaps are, and your interest and expertise in trying to fill that gap.
So
I
you would
hope that helps.
so you would agree that even when you're coming up with a great idea, there should be some form of research too that is taking place. Because a lot of people, they just start business and they don't do the research. They don't want to do the legwork. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Well, yeah, and the degree to which you do the legwork and the research can be formal or informal. I mean, you take it around to your friends and family, the people you know and trust, and you say, "Hey, check this out. What do you think about this? How does
Mhm.
this work for you?" And through that feedback, you can start to fine tune the idea and the product, and then it starts to turn into something. So that's the idea of research. So yeah, once you have this idea, you kind of have to validate it in terms of need and wants, and then you have to look at the financial implications. Like, well, then you get to the next P, which is sort of pricing. Like, okay, like what does it take to put this together? Because I think a lot of times, small businesses owners don't really think about um, cost, the expense, and the pricing, and then
No.
they get into the situation and they're putting themselves out of business
Yep.
because they haven't thought about the profitability and that's the fifth P of marketing is profitability. But the pricing that leads to the profitability and your time is valuable, not just the out of pocket cost for the product and all that other stuff, but you have to include your time in there as well. And what's the value of your time? Certainly, you can uh, depress that in
Hmm.
the early stages to to get into the market, but once you get going, you have to make sure you're priced right because you can be selling a ton of product and making no money.
And
And
That's
And I
good.
would say too, to add to that too, it's always good to, when we're getting to that part of it, to look at the businesses that are successful and what you're trying to do, and kind of see what those prices are. Like compare
yes,
to the side,
yes,
compare to other businesses that are just as
yes,
successful as them, and just see where you can fit in at in the middle, some kind of way.
ab-
Exactly.
absolutely. Because in the absence of all the big company research, you look at products that are out there that are similar, how they're priced, and you say, "Yeah, I can do that," or I need to be above that or below that, and make a strategic decision. And that's the thing, making a strategic decision based on what the marketplace looks like, what your positioning is, and where you think how you can crack that demand to get this thing started. And so,
Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here, right? So
okay, come on.
everything you said makes sense, and hey, you jump in here and you tell me if you agree with me on this. But sometimes too, you can have an idea and it's not the great idea, right? It's not the best, right? But we've seen businesses become successful, really bad ideas just because
True.
they believe in a project. So I would
True.
say, in addition to that, you need to believe in your project and believe in what you're creating, believe in yourself, because sometimes it'll manifest into the reality, and you'll look at it, it becomes seven, and you'll be like, now why I didn't think of that?
Exactly.
Right.
I
And
definitely
and
think you
that's
got a point.
the entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, because you're going to get out there and you're going against the odds. People are like, why are you doing that? That's not a good idea. Who you think you are? The bank won't give you no money. And I go back to like Spike Lee. When Spike Lee said, "Hey, I want to make movies," and like really, like Spike, okay, you want to make movies? I'm just thinking, back in the '70s, '80s, and he's like, "No, man, I'll make movies." And you come up with the idea for a script, which is the creative piece, and then you got to produce it. And dude went out and got like 100 credit cards and ran them all up and used that to produce it. That was brilliant.
That
And
was.
And it
and
paid
so
for it. It paid for itself in the end, though.
yeah,
But
But I'm
he
sure
ended
he
that.
was scary. It was a little
Oh,
scary down to
you got to take
looking at it because
yes,
I think he used one card was I think the American Express card. I think he
yeah, you don't want to
used
use that
you don't want you. I don't
one.
because
think it
they want their
Yeah,
money
yeah.
at
they
the
want
end of
their
the
money,
month.
right?
I always say, oh, I just do not want to go back to Amex jail, because when Amex got you, when you over that limit, they like, listen, we see you having a good old time. That was a nice little boat you bought up for your business, but we gonna need our money. Like, come on.
Right, right,
If not,
right,
Well,
you going to Amex jail.
right,
hopefully the
right,
things have changed a little bit in their programs.
right.
Yeah, they're doing
80%
that.
of the business is understanding what's available to you as a small business. Once you get this thing right, your idea perfected. First, incorporate. Get you your LLC and separate your personal stuff from
Yeah.
your business stuff, which goes back to this kind of credit thing, right? Because if you use your personal credit to launch your business and you're struggling, credit jail and money is expensive these days.
It
So, in
is.
And
terms of the
And most of the
APR,
time, the credit card companies now, when you're trying to take out, cards just for your business, if your phone number and you have a personal address on it that you're trying to apply to,
uh,
most of the time they will deny you, and a lot of people don't know that. Even if you
interesting.
have to just rent like because I know when I first started my business, I just rented a virtual office, and
Uh
just
huh.
paid the like the $90 or $80 a month for it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I had all of my mail for my business, and that's my address and the phone number and everything, because you do have to keep it separate so that
Mm-hmm.
they'll know that you're taking this seriously.
Yes, absolutely. And there's tax advantages and things like that once for your business. And so you having a good accountant to help you navigate the tax situations and helping you keep track of your finances.
Mm.
Because a lot of us are not good financially. We're into the creative idea, and it's
And
like what?
and that is tends to be the issue with a lot of entrepreneurs. You have you're good at that thing that you're trying to do,
Right.
and when you have like the finance part or other areas, marketing part, it doesn't hurt for you to like, I need to go find somebody who knows how to do this,
Yeah.
and at least
Yeah.
give me some advice. And this is what this podcast is all about, trying to give that tutorial, if you will, on how to help you get to the next level.
Yeah.
And
And that you can set up
yeah,
your small business for training wheels and infrastructure that you might need to get going.
so my advice to entrepreneurs, I believe in paying for the services that I don't know how to do. I believe in paying
Mm-hmm.
somebody that knows how to do it, because I'm the type of person, I don't like to waste my money or my time. So I rather it be done right, when I'm launching it. And so people will take me serious too, to know that I'm serious and I'm passionate about this thing. It's okay to be creative and want to do things to cut costs, but some things you just can't cut the cost on, like,
No.
for example, I tell people all the time, like, when you're going to a court for like a citation or something, you have no business in court talking to them, defending yourself. You ain't went to nobody law school. You need to get to do that stuff, because you want to make sure things are done right.
Right,
So what am I
exactly.
representing myself for? I haven't been in anybody's
Yeah.
law school.
Respects that. Because
Yeah.
then you like people to help represent you and to advise you, especially at the beginning, because you don't want to wind up in the middle of the stream and be all discombobulated and trying to figure out your operations and your finance. Because then, that's going to take away from your focus on growing your business. but
Right.
Right.
it's all good learning, right? It's all good learning, and we learn from our mistakes. Lord Jesus, we learn from our
We
mistakes.
do.
Those mistakes will make or break you, but
Yeah,
I tell you one thing, those mistakes they really give the explanation or describe if you're really serious about it, you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
Yeah.
Because if
yes,
you make one
yes,
mistake and you're ready to give up, then you may not have been serious about it to begin with. But it's good that we step out there and take chances, but I think the only thing I'm saying is some things you can wing it with, but some things you shouldn't wing it with, you know.
absolutely,
If I had to
absolutely.
go into court and defend myself, I'm be like, I'm just gonna go in there with the famous line: "If the glove don't fit, you must quit." They're like, "Ma'am, this has nothing to do with you."
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that gets to like mentorship. I mean, having somebody who's got some experience, who's run a business, who just has a different perspective, and you can go and say, well, what about
Hmm.
this and what about that? Because when you're in your own head trying to make it happen, you got your head down. And if you got a mentor that is kind of looking up and been around the block a little bit, they can pull your coattail and help you with those interim and intermediate kinds of things that come up to give you the perspective that you need, and they can potentially introduce you to other people who can help you. So mentorship is really important. Like you say, look at who's out there who's doing it, or people who have a lot of experience in some sort of corporation and things, and they'll give you the
Yeah, and we have to also let them understand too, because I know like sometimes when you're going into starting a new business, you want to keep certain things to yourself because you don't want everybody's opinions in their hands and what you're trying to do. But having mentorship, just learning from somebody that's already done it or that's doing it is not only you rubbing elbows with the type of people where you're trying to see yourself going, but also it's just being able to be humble and not being afraid to say, hey, I don't understand this, I don't know how to do this, can you lead me, can you help me or whatever, because ultimately you're going to need those type of skills anyway as the business is building and growing.
absolutely, absolutely,
And to that point about you're going to need the skills at some point, you're going to have to build to bring that experience in house so you can save that money instead of always outsourcing it. And that's a big thing that we see a lot with companies, major corporations like Rob and I worked on over the years. They're not big on keep outsourcing a lot. They want to see, okay, how much of this can you bring in house? Can the agency do this? We're not trying to pay for this extra service outsourced to someone else. So you do need to learn it at some point, and bring in the expertise if that's what it takes in order to make sure that whatever profitability that you're making is coming, because everything has a cost, and within that cost, as Rob was mentioning earlier, you need to be profitable.
And I would also say too, Rob, what advice would you have? Because it is a known thing that when you start a business, sometimes a lot of businesses they don't succeed the first year, right? And sometimes that can be discouraging to a lot of new entrepreneurs coming in the business. What kind of advice would you give them?
well, yeah, I'll go back to the fundamentals. Let's start with a great plan. I mean, spend time planning, creating your business plan, creating your marketing plan, like we talked about, doing a research, getting some advice from mentors, doing a little bit of trial and error sampling kind of things, so that when you push the button to go, you have a high degree of confidence and a high degree of probability for success. But get your infrastructure right first. Don't get out there being raggedy, you know, and once you have that discipline of the total business, and then I think that increases the probability of success. And think about your financing, because if you're going out there, how much money do you have behind you to
Hmm.
keep you going through the rough time? I'll just say it like that. How much do you have behind you, or what kind of access to money do you have behind you? Going back to the Spike Lee thing, how much money do you have behind you to get you through to the point where you can start really making money?
Right.
That's an
Hmm.
important consideration to have. And today, I like it because people have it's a side hustle.
Hmm.
The side hustle mentality is a wonderful thing. As back in the day, you had to have both feet in the pond at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, side hustle is like, hey, get your little job over here, got your insurance, keep you going, and then get your side hustle. That's gonna so you're not depending on your side hustle to do your bread and butter work. And guess what? If you get a job in an industry that your side hustle is in, you can learn from that company what you need to know to help build your business.
Right.
I was
That's
talking to
good.
a young man in my class, and he said he wanted to run a trucking business. He wanted to create a trucking business. And I was like, have you worked for a trucking company before? I said, the best way to learn while you creating your
Yeah.
dream, go work for a trucking company and see what they do, how they operate, and learn the best and the worst. So when you step out there, you have a sense of how a trucking company should work.
That's
And they're gonna be paying you and training you.
at the same time.
At the
Man,
same
do that.
time.
Man, do,
It's a win-win.
That
You
is
it's
can't
a
a
win.
win-win.
win-win. It's a win-win, and you can take. And in any company, I mean, like we laugh and joke about McDonald's, but McDonald's used to really pride itself on training people, young people in particular, just on the discipline of work, what it
Mm-hmm.
takes to be successful in a job, the basics,
Mm-hmm.
and training you how to work on a team and work in a structure and a production process. And then you could take that learning and go any place else in any kind of organization because that discipline that you learn and that training that you can be applicable to other aspects of business and other jobs. So I say, hey, get a job in an area that you thinking about getting on business in, and get trained to do that, and then go from there. So that's another kind of, I think, an insider tip.
Yeah. So, Mr. Dell, you have anything else
Yeah.
that you want to ask him before we go to our
I
food,
think
our word of the day?
I think we could probably go through our little segment break. So why don't you talk about our seeds of success?
Yes, let's talk about our seed. So this segment, guys, is our seed of success because we believe that in order to start a successful business and be successful, it first has to start within the mind and within, right? We talked about manifestation or whatever. So it's important that you feed your mind as much positivity as possible that keeps you encouraged and keeps you motivated and inspired to want to build that business and see yourself successful wherever it is when you're creating this, right? So I have a word for today, and this is going to be by Steve Marobly. It says, if you believe you can, you might. But if you know you can, you will. So a lot of power in that, Rob. How do you feel about
Well, that is it. Because when you start your business, it's you, baby. It is you,
All
and
you.
the world is not sitting there waiting for you to do your thing, right? You gotta carve it out. I tell my students, because I'm in Chicago, and we had a lot of migrants that came from out of Texas, and they got shipped here. But I tell my students, those people walked 2,500 miles out of Venezuela. They walked through the jungle with the mosquitoes, the banditos,
it?
All
robbed,
that.
all of that. Walking in the rain, climbing mountains, hopping on trains, doing all that. And I said, so you have to have that kind of passion and determination
Yes,
about yourself
yes,
and where you want to go and how you will not be deterred to get to your dream. Because those people know, hey, if I can get here, the rest is easy. Because where I'm coming from is great. If
right.
I could just get in there, I can figure this thing out. I'm like, man, I see people, they got their kids and family, and I'm like, man, them people walk 2,500 miles to get here. And that kind of determination is what you need, and the ability to be flexible and deal with the challenges and the disruptions that are out there on your journey. But you need to have that drive and determination and that flexibility to make those tactical moves to get you to where you need to be. And it's possible. That's the other thing. I think it is very possible because this country is built on small business. Once you see how the laws and the regulations and the financing, now, I won't say it's easy, and it's not necessarily easier for people like us. But
Mm,
if you can get through, there's a great deal of support for small businesses from the legal standpoint, from the taxing standpoint, that allow you assist you in being successful if you got the right idea and the right planning to get. So this is part of the American concept.
well, I can tell you this. I wish my daughter or my son was in your class because I feel like this generation, they don't understand, the hard work and the struggle and the tears that really has to go into building something, especially something that's going to last. They
Mhm.
are living in a time where we're heavily influenced by social media. And I'm not going to go into because that'd be a whole nother segment. We'll be on here all day. But they think things come easy. Like I asked my daughter one day and she's like, oh, I just want to just travel the world. Well, okay,
Okay.
you can travel the world, but you got to have a plan. It's not microwavable. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to go through the times that don't feel so good just so you can get to the times that are going to feel great to you. And you be like, wow, I didn't even know I was going to arrive here.
Right,
And
right.
Rob,
I'm laughing because my son, my oldest son, he actually he finished law school in
Oh, congratulations to
2016.
him.
Thank you. And but before he went to law school, he was working and he's working for banking thing. And he graduated, from college and he went to work and he's like, Dad, I don't like this. He said, you come into work and you do the same thing. He said, go. And I said, that's why they call it work. Right? They're like, dude, this is why they call it work. It's not easy. Work, you got to put forth effort and energy. That's why they call it work. He's like,
We all
oh,
we all got to do.
right. We all got to do
If
it.
an
Right.
inheritance was passed down to you, baby, you got to work. That's what it's
Right. I
called.
said, right. I said, you picked the wrong parents. You should have chose some other parents because I can't give you that.
I got to go to
I'll give you
work,
some.
Daddy. You got to go to work too,
You
baby.
got to work. And then he says,
Rob,
he says, uh, yeah, Rob, yeah. He said, Dad, I don't want to work for nobody. But I'm like, you don't know nothing. So what is somebody going to buy from you?
Ooh, like I tell my kids the same thing. I just want to own my own. What do you want to do? I don't know.
it's a
It ain't no.
plan.
It don't
You got a
happen like that.
plan. It
Right.
takes steps to
It's so
Yep.
get there.
Yep.
they're so
It's not
heavily
a.
influenced
It's
by
not a.
all of the stuff on social
Exactly.
media. It's got their
Right.
whole head messed up. Hopefully, this podcast will help stir them along the way and get
Yeah,
them on the
Right.
right.
exactly.
But
Rob,
see,
this
this
is.
is the thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is the thing I tell my students is that thing. What are you good at and what do you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
That should be a motivation for you when you're thinking about your business because the thing that you're good at and you like to do, the work is easier and you're passionate about it and it makes sense for you. It's who you, it starts with just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing, for young people is like, find those things,
Yeah.
explore the world, look at the research, and then find that thing that, man, like, I'm really excited about that.
Right.
And I like that, and I'm good at that. I can be better at that. And that is the kernel of the idea for a business thought. So
Right.
I just shared that with
There's one more
Oh,
thing
we
I
know.
wanted to answer right quick because there was something that you said earlier, so I'm going to go back a little bit
you. Hmm.
about resources and especially with multicultural entrepreneurs being able to have access to it. So, I mean, do you see that the financing is one of the biggest struggles for
I really
minority
do.
entrepreneurs?
I really do because we don't come from families with generational wealth.
Mhm.
The system is not necessarily friendly and open to us. And so that inertia and resistance impacts our ability to capitalize our ideas and manage the risks that are out there. So you have to be creative and you have to be prepared for that. And then you have to do your research and find out, well, where are these incubators? Where are these guidance and support programs that are out there that can help me um, get my business started and get me on the road to success. But it is more challenging for us. The system is not open and friendly to us as much as this
Sure.
country is about small business. We got to work a little harder. We got to be a little smarter. Same thing your mama told you
Yep.
Yeah.
applies here. But it's doable.
Mhm.
It's doable. And the way you kind of mitigate that risk is to have a side hustle while you get your thing going. But you got to work twice as hard. But
Yeah.
if it's your
That's true.
dream, what else you going?
Well, any last thoughts, Rob, before we
Well,
close out?
I thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to share a bit of my thinking and my experience with your audiences. I love what you ladies have put together, and I support you wholeheartedly. So, as you go forward through this, I'm available for you, and I'm gonna be watching you, checking you, and rooting for your success in the.
Well, thank you, and we will be calling you back
Yeah, we
for
appreciate that. Rob,
do
can you tell
another
them
show.
how they
Thank
can
you.
follow you and find you on social media and stuff?
Well, I'm old school. I'd be like. I don't want y'all looking for me.
They might need some gems from you, Rob. We got to find out how to find you now. We
They
got to
might need
create you something.
a consultant.
We creating you something today.
Well, I'm available on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Rob Jackson on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to find me in the business. I do hang out on Facebook. You know, us old people, we just reminiscing on Facebook.
Instead of
But
that quote
but
all day.
right,
You're too
right,
funny.
right. And just through you guys' website, if people want to find me, then
Yeah.
you guys can pass that on,
Definitely.
and I'll be more than happy to talk to some people and give them
Okay. Hey, any last words?
No, I think, Rob, just thank you again for being our guest. And I think you provided a wealth of insightful information that people may not necessarily think about. Like I said, that's what T and I are trying to do is, provide information, give people that opportunity. Because one of the things that one of my girlfriends from college said years ago to me was like, hey, you're in advertising and I want to start my business. Can you help me? And I said, sure. And the first thing she said to me is like, there's not that many people that look like me that could give me advice about marketing or advertising. And so to your point about mentorship, I think that's right on. So
yeah.
we
And
get,
that's our community, and that's the richness in our community. It's
mm-hmm,
there. The richness and the creativity, the intellectual capacity, the entrepreneurship. It's in us. I mean, a lot of the signals we get that says, "No, that's not in you," but it's in us. It's in
it
us, and
is.
we just have to turn that on and figure out how to get it going.
And we're going to turn it on. But
All
thanks so
right.
much again. And
Thanks, guys.
for joining us.
Join us
And
every week. Join us at it. Inspiring a Dream. We hope you guys have enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week.
yep,
Bye.
bye.
I'm living my dreams. Ooh.